I just went into the status overview. We have been playing around with this meter a bit. You saw us putting pieces of tape in and out, and here we have the status data of this meter. If we look in the overall status, we see a big dip here. And if I look in the other graphs, for example, the signal quality, the signal acceptance and the speed of sound, I cannot really explain this dip. Besides this dip, there's a few other things I see. I see the signal quality here dropping, going up, dropping and going up again. I see signal acceptance dropping and speed of sound going up and down. So something happened to this meter. Well, what is it? Let's go and find out. Let's look at the status per path. And immediately you see here path 2 went down. We had path 2 going to red, going up again and going to red again. Now remember, we put some tape on path 2 and we did it a couple of times. So path 2 failing caused the changes here. But it still doesn't explain the big dip here. So I can look a bit further. I can look at example for wall fouling. I click on wall fouling. Well, that doesn't really explain it. There's not much to see here. I could look at ultrasonic noise, for example. And again, ultrasonic noise, there has been very little. That doesn't explain the dip here either. I could look at bottom fouling. Well, there has been some bottom fouling. You saw us experimenting with it. But again, it doesn't explain this dip here. So we could look one further and look for flow profile distortions. And now you see the status has gone to red here, and the reason was a profile distortion. This is the piece of tape we put in front of the meter. So with these graphs, with a few clicks, I can easily see what happened, and I can see all the data inside the meter. One last feature of Chronocare that I wanted to show is the reporting. There is a report button here, and when I click on it, a report opens. This report shows some details about the meter. It shows the meter is okay at this present moment. All features such as bottom fouling, wall fouling, etc. are okay. If we go down a little bit, you see a graph. This meter has been okay for most of the time. There have been some hiccups here when we made the pollution in the meter to show you how the diagnostics worked. For the last half hour, the meter has been okay again. This is 3 hours. Normally we would of course take a much longer period of several weeks or months. One thing we put in here is a box where 2 people can sign. ID behind this is a report is made monthly, and for example the service engineer and the supervisor sign off that this meter was okay. If there's ever discussions about the accuracy or about delivery of the gas, those reports might be a big help in saying no, this meter has been okay. One step further, but that's probably a little bit in the future, is with these reports you might be able to extend your recalibration dates, since you have proof that the meter is okay. Final feature is the downloading of historical data. If we go to options, storage, you see here all the data you can download. You can, for example, download the log data, the GC gas chromatograph data, their status data, all kinds of audits and alarms can all be downloaded. This comes out as a simple Excel file. Of course, you can do this from behind your desk with all the things I showed. You don't have to go in the field, but you can do it from behind your desk, either over the internet or the Ethernet. It's just a web page. But of course, all this data is also available on the Modbus map, so you can get it directly into your DCS in case you want to get this in.